Hi, I'm Ed. You don't get to see me often from this angle, but I'm a member of the McLennan County Paranormal Investigations. This is a special investigation. We're going out to the Dr. Pepper Museum to do an investigation, and we've opened it to a public investigation. So we're going to have about 30 people joining us on this investigation tonight. We're going to be covering all the areas of the Dr. Pepper Museum, and hopefully we'll catch some exciting scenes, so stay tuned for it. We're approaching the museum now. It's on the corner of 5th and Mary in downtown Waco. You can see the side of the museum here. We're going to pull up in the parking lot over here and park.
Doing an investigation here in the Dr. Pepper Museum, and so it was limited pretty much to the members of his team and our staff at that time. But we had such an interesting evening that we decided to do a second one in the other building across the way, which is known as the Keller Rotan building, and that one went very well. It was 3 or 4 months later before we did that building. But it got us to thinking that it might be an interesting thing to offer to the public. Some museums go back and forth about how they feel about the paranormal in museums and their buildings. Some boards don't like it, some don't, think that it makes the museum, sound weird or something like that. But, we're pretty weird anyway, so we didn't care. And so we convinced the board that it was okay. We're handling this pretty much with buildings or rentals, so it's not really, our museum staff putting this on or anything else, but I'm supposed to do a brief introduction and a little bit of history about these buildings and let you know kind of the background here of why this makes such a good place to do a paranormal investigation. And two of our staff and myself will be here this evening just to make sure that we have all the safety things taken care of, and because if you read that deal you signed, I know the law students read it, but other than that, the part about don't fall down in the dark, that's a pretty big piece. There is a little bit of an element of danger or risk when you're walking around in the dark. We've tried to remove all the hazards that we can, and our staff will be there along with the paranormal group to make sure everyone's a good time. And you've all got flashlights, so that'll be helpful to do that. The Dr. Pepper Museum is a 501c3 nonprofit. We are neither owned or operated by that horrible Dr. Pepper company that goes around smashing things and putting them out of business, as you read in the paper. But don't believe everything you read in the paper, because that wasn't the whole story, but we're not going to get into that anyway. But they're pretty nice to us. They give us money from time to time for special projects, capital expansion of the museum, spend down the money. In turn, we do a whole lot of things for them. We have most of the company history of Dr. Pepper located in our building across the way. Over 100,000 soft drink items. We have the largest soft drink collection in the world, other than the World of Coke. World of Coke has everything to do with Coke, but they don't have anything to do with anything else. And we have all brands here. We have Pepsi, we have Coke, we have just about whatever you can think of. We've got a bottle or a can or something about it over there. So Waco is unique in that. This is a tremendous collection that we have accumulated over the years, and just in the last few years, we've had several big collectors give us their collections and donate them here. So our collection is probably valued in the range of $7 to $8 million, probably, something like that, over 100,000 items. So we have a lot of work to do. One of our staff members here, Mary Beth Tate, who you'll see later, is the collections director, and we keep her plenty busy cataloging, and everything now is digital, so we digitally photograph everything, we assign it a number, put it in a computer, write a description of it, and the computer tells us what row, shelf, rack, or whatever else it is in. So it's an interesting thing that we do here. Our nonprofit status gives us an educational mission, which is to promote free enterprise. If you know the full name of the museum, it's the Dr. Pepper Museum and Free Enterprise Institute. And most of the bottling groups that started years and years ago, very much like Devin and Dr. Pepper, were family businesses. They were small bottling works, started in a garage, started in somebody's backyard in the 1880s or 90s, and they made carbonated soft drinks. Eventually they were able to bottle them, put a cork in them, put a stopper in them, later a bottle cap on things. And they grew in size from very small businesses to larger and larger. Sometimes they were bought by other bottlers, and these became big empires. And so it's a good example of how the free enterprise system works. You get a product, you invent it, you promote it, you sell it, and it grows and grows, and then you sell the business, or then you buy other businesses out. And it just started that way, and that's kind of the way things work in a lot of the areas in the economy. So we just try to teach kids who come here that everything hasn't been invented yet. The internet's a good example of that. But there are other things out there that you can come up with an idea, you can make a product, you can patent it, you can take it to market, and do that for yourself today. So that's still alive and well out there in the world. And so we try to promote that a little bit as to the way it works. What else? History of this building. This building was built in 1906. And it was built as a bottling plant. Dr. Pepper was invented a few blocks away here, over at the corner of 4th and Austin, in what was the McLennan Hotel. On the ground floor, there was a business there called the Old Corner Drugstore. Wade Morrison was the owner of that, and he had a pharmacist that worked there named Dr. Charles Alderton. And Alderton was messing around with syrups and things, and liked the smells of different stuff, and he came up with one that he just called Waco, or it was just called Waco. And the syrup, they took it out to the counter, very much like this, with the bar back and everything, and mixed it with some carbonated water at the fountain, and sold it to people, and people would come in and say, well, you have one of those Wacos, that was really good, let me have it. Eventually, Morrison decided that it needed a better name than just calling it Waco, so he named it Dr. Pepper. There are many reasons why he did that, none of which are known to man. So there are rumors that he knew a guy named Pepper who lived in Virginia, where he came from. There's some connection there possibly with it, but there's several stories. And no one story has been absolutely proven as to why it's called Dr. Pepper. But Morrison evidently gave it that name. They started making the syrup up in gallons and then in barrels, and pretty soon other people would come and say, can we buy a barrel of that syrup and take it over to our town and serve it in our soda fountain? And Dublin was one of those people. And so they came in, bought the syrup, and took it back to Dublin Bottling Works, and they became the first official franchise of Dr. Pepper, where they could take the syrup and mix it themselves, bottle it themselves, and sell it within an area around Dublin of 75 miles or whatever it was. And so they were the original franchise. The business got too much for the soda fountain, the Old Corner Drug, so they rented another building in the downtown area and started making the syrup there. Eventually it got bigger than that building could handle, so they went over here about 100 yards across the street, here at the corner of Jackson and 5th Street, and it was called the Artesian Manufacturing and Bottling Company. And that was owned by a guy named Robert Lazenby. And Lazenby actually was in the business of making soft drinks and carbonated water. So they kind of merged and went together and formed a partnership. And he started making the syrup over there so that the corner drugstore could focus on what they wanted to, which was being a pharmacy. Alderton was not interested in being a beverage chemist or anything like that. He wanted to go back and just do what he's doing, what he's done. And so eventually, Lazenby took over the whole company. He eventually bought it from Wade Morrison. And they started building this building in the early 1900s, and it was finished in 1906. There are several features about this building that make it into a bottling plant. There was gravity flow from the water still on the roof all the way down to the second floor, where syrup was mixed in a mixing room, and it has gutters on the side of the room, so at the end of the day, they could hose it off and just scrape everything off into the gutters, and it would flow down into your friendly neighborhood water system. But they can't do that now. You know, it's the power thing, you know, what you're doing. Just dumping all your waste in the city sewer. There's also a well in this building, in the back corner, an artesian well. It's about 30 feet deep. And they used to use the water in that artesian well to make the soft drinks out of. They don't do that anymore because in the early 1900s, the city of Waco decided they didn't make more money. We bought water from them. instead of using well water. So the well just became a garbage can after that, and was filled up with broken bottles and tools and lunch kits and spoons and everything. We've got a lot of examples of that on display back there in that exhibit area. But eventually when we opened the museum here, the well was rediscovered and all of that glass was taken out. Tons of it, 55-gallon drums of it, by an archaeology class over at Baylor. The company itself had its ups and downs in the 20s and went bankrupt a couple of times. Eventually, the headquarters was moved to Dallas because the bankers up there would give them more money. None of the Waco bankers would extend any more credit to the company, so they moved the headquarters to Dallas. But this bottling plant here stayed and worked until the mid-60s, when canning became the main factor for selling soft drinks and bottles diminished. And this building was not big enough for a canning line, so they abandoned this building and used it for storage, moved to a new place out on Franklin, and then later a big bottling plant was built in Dallas, and we have a distribution center now out by TSDC, which supplies most of here, but none of the bottling is actually there. This lay vacant for close to 20 years, and the roof had a problem, and leak, pigeons, and all sorts of bad things. But in the late 80s, early 90s, a group of citizens came together and formed a nonprofit organization, raised the funds, and opened the museum in 91. And so we've been open 20 years now, getting ready for our 21st anniversary. In 2003, we purchased this building across the courtyard here from a group called Caritas, which was a food bank and social services organization. They stayed in the building about 3 more years and moved down on Mary Street, about 15 and Mary Street. And we began renovating this building. It was really only then that we started discovering what was interesting about this other building. It actually was built in the late 1880s, between 85 and 90. So it's a considerably older building than this building. So it has a basement underneath. It's 25,000 square feet on the first ground level, and then go down below about a 12,000 square foot basement. The lumber and timber in that building is tremendous. Huge thick pieces of wood like you can't find anymore. They don't even mill the kind of wood that's in that building anymore. So it's really a historic building in many, many ways. It was originally a wholesale grocery building. Calvin founded it in the late 1880s. He took in a partner named Rotan, and Rotan was retained because he could add and subtract, which was helping in a building, in a business, always a good thing. And Mr. Rotan eventually became the president of First National Bank here in Waco. At one time in the 1920s, was probably the richest guy in Waco. It was sold a couple of times. The Cooper Grocery Company bought it. Then later it became used for just storage. The company stored grain in it. They kind of broke the floors down in it and had to be shored up. And then eventually it became Caritas. So it's got a long history of its own over there that's separate from this building. But we built a parking lot and moved all the parking out of this area behind our building, over in there. Then we redid this courtyard area for rentals, just activities and event space, and then started on the renovation of that building, which we're about 2/3 of the way through. We spent over $2 million renovating that, and we still have an 8,000 square foot exhibit gallery that will open probably in the next 2 years, assuming I can raise another $1 million. We'll see whether I can do that or not. But we'll put new exhibits over there. Hopefully this summer we're going to start on the construction of a connector between the two buildings for people to walk out and walk over, so you won't get rain on like tonight. That'll be easier if we can do that. So we've got some big plans for it. And that's kind of where we are in the Dr. Pepper Museum. I took my 15 minutes. What should be here in a minute?
My name's Mike, and I'm the cook. Yes, ma'am. I'm speaking right now. I'm a founder, along with my wife Cindy. I think y'all met her. We went there and signed up. When we first signed up, we gave you little guidelines for the hunt. I'm just going to cover it with y'all if y'all will follow with me. Try to put your mind in a positive state. In other words, go there positive, y'all will test it. Because negativity can and will attract negative spirits. Do not show fear. Because once you show fear, it'll happen. You just go to feed off of it. So if you show fear, they're going to feed off of that and do what you're saying. Stay with or near your assigned group. What we're going to do is we're going to split everybody up. Half of us is going to the museum first, the other half is going to Paranormal Academy. And I'm going to tell you guys, the basement of the Paranormal Academy building is creepy place. We've had so much stuff happen to us down there, including, Cindy will cover this, including, the only thing I can tell you is the demonic ground. I mean, it was feral. There was no evidence down there. Because, right after that, because we sounded like pigs that come. You will get to do an actual investigation on your own. What we are here for is support. Each team member will get you started, show you what to do. Daniel said they were. I've got enough mic out there right now. You will each be assigned to a doctor in the Dr. Preston exam. The ones that y'all are going to start here first. Y'all will be split up into 3 groups. The first group will do the first floor. The second group will do the second floor. The third group will do the third floor. You have 40 minutes per floor. Then at the end of that 40 minutes, we'll change floors. What we want to do is try to give everybody in here, each group, a chance to do each floor. And when we did our investigation here back in 2009, we caught activity in all 3 floors. So don't worry about it. You will find something. I can almost guarantee you, the weather being like it is, being cold, this gives a lot of energy in the air. The rumbles of thunder that y'all may have heard create static, electricity in the air, which gives these things something to pull off. So I'm really excited about the way the weather turns out tonight. When you ask questions, how many of y'all bought any kind of recorder? Let me just show you. When you ask questions, be sure to take turns. In other words, I don't want one person dominating the whole thing and not giving anybody else a chance. Don't whisper. This is very important. If you have something to say, even if you want to say, say that right. Okay. Because if you whisper, it can be taken by the person standing next to you, taken as a ghost voice when they go back and listen to the recording. Be vocal. This is very, very, very important. Be vocal. Anything that you think might be touching you, in any form or shape, fashion, be vocal about it. Just say, I've been touched. Something's touched me here, something's touched me here. If you think it's a muscle tick, sometimes your muscle will tick, it could be, but then again, it could not. Anything that you feel weird, if you start feeling dizzy or nauseated, a lot of times when spirits pull from energy from you to do whatever they want to do, they will pull from your energy, which can give you headaches. It can make you nauseated. It can make you dizzy. In the basement down here, we had, I don't know if any of y'all saw our video for Dr. Pepper, but we had this lady that wanted to join a group, her and her husband. Something pulled energy from her. It made her sick to her stomach and dizzy. She had to sit down, and when she sat down, she couldn't whisper. Like, oh, I'm sorry. We actually got the K2 bits. K2 meters of electromagnetic field. James, you have, hold it up to me. Y'all might have seen these on ghost hunters. Little things that you, that's what, when I say K2 meters, that's what I'm talking about. We actually got a hit off that. When she said she told me to actually got the hits off of it. Cold and hot spots. Y'all know what these are? Be aware of cold and hot spots. If you run into Well, if y'all feel like you feel right now, then we take a couple of steps and you feel cold or hot, vocalize, let somebody know. So I've got a cold spot right here. That way we can come over with the meter, check it, and you can film it, you can take pictures of it, however y'all want to do it. It's a y'all's investigation. Okay, who brought cameras? Still cameras. Okay, who brought cameras? Okay. Still cameras. When you take your picture, be sure to take 2 pictures of every shot. We do this for a reason, because if you catch something in the first picture and it's not there in the second picture, more than likely you caught something. But if it's there in both pictures, it hasn't moved, then it's probably not paranormal. When you're taking pictures, if you have camera straps, if you have your hair down, make sure that the camera strap in your hair is not in the west end, because that can be construed as a work. Now, very important, if you have an urge, no matter how slight, to shoot a picture in a certain direction, by all means follow that urge, because this could be your inner sense telling you that there's something over there. When you take pictures, don't always take them just straight on. Take them up, take them down, and take candid pictures of the group that you're with. Make sure you have people in some of your shots, because ghosts have been known to stand among people. And this is something that a lot of people are not aware of, and it takes an ambidextrous person to do it. But take a few shots behind you without turning around. Just pull your camera over your shoulder, take a couple of shots, because we found out the spirits can follow too. Like when we do an investigation, there's 2 people on the investigation. We're walking around, we're doing all of this. We actually caught, when I took pictures, we actually caught this in the back. And that was pretty cool. Is there any questions on what I just covered? Anybody have any questions you want to ask? Yes. Yes. Yeah, I understand y'all don't have night, a lot of y'all don't have night shot. Who has night shot cameras? Who has a big first shot? Yeah, any of y'all have Sony cameras? I mean, well, I'm sorry, camcorders. Do you have a Sony camcorder?
I don't know what brand it is.
Okay. Usually Sony camcorders have a night shot capability. This is when you can shoot complete bars. But if you don't have a camcorder that can shoot darkness, you're more than welcome to turn on your lights. Film a little bit and just turn your lights off and stuff like this. Any other questions? And you're more than welcome to use flash too. Alright, on your second page is a sample questions for EVPs. Does everybody know what EVP stands for? Electronic voice phenomena. This is the voices that you catch on your recorders that are not set by living humans. These are some questions that I just give you questions here that you can follow and ask. Can you please talk to us? Don't let us scare you. Tell us your name. What is your favorite color? Anything else y'all can think of? Did you die in the tornado? Did you work at Dr. Perry? Just anything that pops into your mind. When you're with your group and you ask a question, whoever wants to ask the next question, that pause lasts about 20 seconds before you ask the next. Don't be shy. Get in there and really dig it. This is your time. This is your investigation. At the end of it, when we get ready to change floors, be sure to tell them goodbye and thank them for their time, because a lot of the spirits will tell you goodbye back. We've had to do that many times. The third page is just a little rundown on the Waco tornado. The Dr. Pepper bottling plant, which is the museum now, it actually was severely damaged. I don't know if Jack probably told you this about the second floor of the Kellogg Pan building was completely demolished. The bricks and debris on both sides of the building went up to about 5 foot, depth of 5 feet, and some survivors were trapped underneath the rubble for more than 14 hours. It took several days for them to remove the victims. So there were people killed along Mary and along Jackson's boat. So there's a lot of possibilities. The tornado killed I think 61 or 161 people downtown. Every place that we've done downtown, we've had visiting. And I think that's because of the. So are there any questions before we start? Anybody? Y'all ready?
Yes.
Let me know.
Where Ed is standing now is what we named the dungeon, and it's just was a heaviness in there, and it's a really dark. Half of it's been taken away because of the stairs. We did get a growl in there, picked up EVP. That was a guttural growl. My husband said, "Are you a demon?" And it was this growl, and it said yes. The ladies heard that EVP. They said they weren't coming back down here, but Mary Beth's brave.
I have to.
And it's in this hole up here. It's in this hole up here that you'll see in here.
Yeah, there's a crawl space because the basement does not go under the entire building.
Right. The camera person we had at the time, his name was Don, said he felt something really cold go past him. And then, did they call us on the radio or something, tell us about the shadow that went into that room? Do you remember?
We felt something from this room move into, there are 3 different rooms off of this main space, and it moved into this room in here. And we all followed it for quite a long time, and trying to get it to respond to us. And it.
Now we did get flashlight activity.
We did get that, but
and we
did
did get a few EVPs. I can't remember the ones in there, but we did get flashlight activity. So if you guys want to just, in this particular area, take pictures in there of the crawl space and this room here, just be careful, take your pictures, and then when you're ready, we can get our recorder set and start our EVP session. Set and start our EVP session. Set and start our EVP session. In this, we're going to stay in this area over here. If you want to take shots back there, you can just stand at certain angles to get shots back in these areas. But we're staying on this side. This is where the main area was that we did pick up activity. We did do all the other, but this was the main area.
That's the other team.
Yeah, we're right.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that. I gotta get my camera out and start taking pictures.